Part 4. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 31. After seeing his flame-level dagger piercing the male angel's head, Binghua recalled his weapon. In fact, super soldiers are somewhat out of the scope of living organisms and can be regarded as products of genetic technology. As for why Binghua had to strike the last blow after cutting off the male angel's head just now, it was because of this. The first generation of super soldiers had just escaped the range of ordinary creatures. They had the vital points of ordinary creatures and could bleed and die. The second generation super soldiers are different. Their bodies are as tough as steel and have no fixed vital points. Even if their heads are cut off, they will not die immediately. The biological genetic computers in their bodies will maintain their lives for a period of time. Only the special energy emitted by flame-level weapons can quickly paralyze the biological computer in the super soldier's body and kill the target. After Binghua retracted his flaming dagger, he immediately dived down to catch the cross sword that slipped from the male angel's hand. This is the standard flame-level weapon of the angel guards. Although the solution has not been completed, it can easily pierce the body of the second-generation super soldier with its own sharpness. I finally killed this guy. My sword was almost broken by me. Several girls gathered around Binghua and started chattering. All right, hold the sword and let's go help the other sisters quickly. Binghua threw the cross sword in his hand to Angel An, which surprised An. Although Angel Qing and others were envious, they couldn't say anything. Because in the battle just now, Angel An's attacks were the fiercest and most desperate, and for this reason, a bloody wound was made on her flank that could not be healed. Let's go help the other sisters. Immediately afterwards, Binghua incited the wings on his back to fly towards the battle group around the palace. Angel An, who had just received a sword, was naturally the first to follow without saying a word. Angel Qing and the other three girls looked at each other, then flapped their wings and followed. In fact, up to this point in this battle, the male angel guards are just struggling to hold on. Their defensive formation is slowly collapsing as their companions are divided. After all, this battle itself is unfair. The number of female angels is 5 times that of male angels. In other words, a male angel has to deal with the encirclement and killing of 5 female angels, but even with such an exaggerated head count ratio, the number of female angels is frequently reduced. If the angel guards had 100 people, I believe they would be able to wipe out all the 100 female angel warriors at this moment in less than a minute. Binghua repeated his old trick, relying on the help of another team and the cooperation of his own angel team to kill a male angel defender again. Most of the male angel guards present were finally wiped out at this moment, leaving only the last 4-man team guarding the palace gate. But it was obvious that this 4-person team was not simple, because the bodies of more than 10 female angels were already lying on the ground under their feet. More than 60 female angels surrounded the team in the middle, but no one dared to step forward, because the corpses of a dozen sisters below were what would happen. They are just a group of cowardly women who dare not get involved if a few people die. Let me tell you, you can't destroy the palace walls here, and the only entrance is behind me, so you can't even think of taking away the woman in the palace. A strong male angel with a scar on his face spoke. He was holding a bloody cross sword and stood in front of the palace door like a killing god's pestle. Sisters, don't be afraid of her. We must rescue Sister Kesha. Let's go together. A blonde female angel shouted and took the lead in rushing towards the male angel guarding the entrance to the palace. However, the cooperation of these 4 male angels was extremely tacit, especially the strong male angel with the scar on his face. The cross sword he held in his hand glowed with a slight fire, and he cut off the alloy heavy sword in the female angel's hand. Then with a simple stab, a female angel died in his hand. Suddenly, the strong male angel's eyes narrowed, and he swung the cross sword with the female angel's corpse in his hand to the right, and threw the female angel's corpse away from the blade. The body of the female angel that flew out suddenly paused as if it hit something in the empty air. But in just this moment, a vague figure appeared from the air, surrounded by countless square pixels trying to cover up its figure. This person was none other than Binghua, who was trying to escape the four angel guards through light and shadow refraction and enter the palace to rescue Kesha. Unfortunately, Binghua was discovered. Holding the body of the female angel in his hand, Binghua quickly backed away and placed the body of his companion gently on the ground. To be honest, this strong male angel was also quite surprised. He just felt that something was wrong in that place, so he threw the angel corpse in his hand, but unexpectedly a person was thrown out. "How about Binghua?" The angel and girls gathered around and asked. Binghua's dark eyes stared at the male angel who had just discovered her, then shook his head and said, "I can't sneak in. My light and shadow skills are too low to hide from his perception." The strong male angel captain focused part of his attention on Binghua. Just now, he relied on his intuition, which he had trained on the battlefield for many years, to discover the invisible Binghua. If Binghua sneaks into the palace and rescues Kesha, King Huaya will never spare him if he finds out. At this moment, the female angels gathered at the entrance of the palace organized another charge. Because the four male angels had their backs to the gate, they only had to defend a fan-shaped area, while the female angels could only charge up to a team of 5 at a time. 5 first-generation super soldiers faced 4 second-generation super soldiers. Not surprisingly, within a few seconds, all the female angel team died under the cross sword in the hands of the male angels. In fact, there is nothing to be done about it. This time the female angel attacked in a hurry and did not bring heavy weapons at all. It would take who knows how long to destroy the palace wall of the Angel King city with just the alloy sword in her hand. You must know that Tiancheng is originally a super project of the angel civilization, a celestial fortress that can withstand the bombardment of the army of the god-making civilization. The palaces in the Angel King city, which is the Tiangong King city where Binghua is currently located, are all made of wall frames made of special alloys, and are decorated with a layer of stone brick carvings on the outside. Even the main gun of a small fireship cannot even think of opening a hole in the palace wall. Not far away, Binghua clenched her fists. She felt very uncomfortable as she watched the worthless sacrifices of female angels in front of her. The angel Qingji on Binghua on the side suddenly stepped forward and took Binghua's left hand, asking, "Binghua, what do you want to do? We can't wait any longer. There are only 5 minutes until Hexi's dark message is blocked. If we can't save Kesha, we won't have such a good opportunity in the future." After saying this, Binghua broke away from Angel Qing's hand and held her hand, holding the high-frequencies Hubo knife with the red blade in her right hand, holding the flame-level dagger in her left hand, and rushed towards the formation of male angels guarding the palace gate. "Sister Hexi, I'm sorry that I didn't take your instructions to heart, but I was asked to watch my companions go to their deaths. Please forgive me, Binghua, because I can't do that." Binghua thought as she rushed towards the palace door. Binghua increased her speed to the limit she could control, and the air caressed her cheeks like fluff. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 32. During the charge, Binghua began to calculate crazily in his mind, and at the same time he began to count all his abilities that could enhance his combat effectiveness. The light and shadow deflection algorithm, light and shadow refraction algorithm, micro wormhole transportation tactics, electric energy conversion algorithm and derived formulas, and other algorithms that take a lot of time to activate such as stellar energy drive have been deleted by Binghua PS. Start the light and shadow deflection algorithm and the light and shadow refraction algorithm simultaneously, and set the range to itself. Just when Binghua was only 10 meters away from the male angel, her figure suddenly became blurred and disappeared in the air. Seeing the twisted air shooting towards here, the strong male angel captain twitched the corner of his mouth in disdain. "You still want to hide it from me, You think I'm blind? Holding the sword and cutting it, the cross sword in the guard captain's hand cut through the twisted air. Fake. The captain of the Imperial Guard glanced around with his eyes fixed. Suddenly, a slightly transparent ice flower appeared on his body, and a sword suddenly stabbed out from the blind spot behind the head of an Angel Imperial Guard. The captain of the Imperial Guard couldn't figure out how Binghua appeared there without his eyes, but this did not prevent him from leaning forward to rescue his men. The cross sword once again pierced Binghua's body without any real sense. At this moment, a horizontal knife with a blazing red blade suddenly stabbed down from the top of the head of the guard's captain like a poisonous snake spitting a message. The guard captain's eyes widened, and he instantly sensed a life and death crisis approaching. However, he did not dodge but turned over directly on the spot. He bent his right arm and struck an elbow at the critical moment, hitting the high-frequency weakly knife that was about to penetrate his head. On the side of the blade, Binghua felt a powerful blow coming along the blade, and the horizontal blade in his right hand almost came out of his hand. But that's not the most dangerous thing. Binghua's pupils suddenly shrank to the size of a needle tip, because a silvery cold light was piercing towards her face at a very fast speed. Binghua quickly turned her face, and the bright silver sword tip stopped in front of her eyes. Then Binghua flapped her wings behind her back without hesitation and made a circle in place. The bright silver sword tip was also sharpened simultaneously, grazing Binghua's cheek. After dodging the sword, Binghua flapped her wings without hesitation and immediately moved away from the captain of the Angel Guard. Binghua's chest heaved violently, and fine beads of sweat covered her forehead. It was from being frightened, and her heart was still pounding until now. If she hadn't been able to hide quickly just now, I'm afraid her head would have turned into two halves, both of which could be used as rice bowls. But at the same time, Binghua also felt an extremely exciting feeling. In that second just now, not only was the inevitable blow he was hit by deflected, but he was also almost killed by the captain of the Imperial Guard with a sword. This experience cannot be expressed in words, it is like opening a treasure box. You never know what is in the unopened treasure box, whether it is treasure or poisonous gas that can kill people. Suddenly Binghua felt a numb tingling sensation on his right cheek. He stretched out his hand and wiped it on his cheek, and his fingers were stained with a dazzling bright red. The captain of the Imperial Guard, who was more than 10 meters away from Binghua, glanced at the sword in his hand and said, "You can still react in that situation. It seems that you are different from the recruits who first entered the battlefield." The new recruits mentioned by the captain of the Imperial Guard are those female angel warriors. In the crisis situation just now, the recruits would either retreat and evade, or their bodies would be dominated by fear and unable to move, and they would be stabbed to death by a sword. In fact, even if you retreat, you can't avoid the sword of the captain of the guards. Don't forget that he also has angel wings. Can you fly upside down as fast as sprinting? In the end, you still can't escape the ending of being stabbed to death by a sword. This is also my first time on the battlefield. Binghua answered what the captain of the Imperial Guard said, and at the same time calculated the surrounding space medium in his mind, preparing to use micro-wormhole transportation tactics. "Captain, we will kill this woman together later." A male angel warrior below the captain of the Imperial Guard spoke. "No, he is not my opponent yet. She was just lucky just now. And our mission is to guard the palace. When support arrives, none of these women can escape." As he spoke, the captain of the Imperial Guard cast his gaze towards Binghua, the meaning of which was self-evident. Just when Binghua's side was in a deadlock, Liangbing's side finally completed the calculation of the insect gate leading to the interior of the palace. "Okay, my head is about to explode. I'm finally done. Ella, I'm going to save my sister right now." Liangbing turned to Ella and Ella told Liangbing, "Be careful, we only have 3 minutes." He-11 on the side is spending all her energy on maintaining the shielding algorithm of dark information at the moment, and has no time to care about outside things. But from the beads of sweat dripping from He-11's chin, it can be seen that she is not relaxed at this moment. Binghua, Hexi, and Liangbing all have their own battlefields, but unlike Hexi and the others, Binghua is in danger of dying at any time. Binghua was anxious, because they didn't have much time left. As soon as the dark information shielding was lifted, the Tiangong King City's detection system would be able to detect the situation here immediately. At that time, what we will face is not 20 angel guards, but hundreds or thousands of organic angel guards. Binghua was suspended in mid-air, and the high-frequency knife in his right hand was put away using micro-wormhole transport technology. Then the flaming dagger in his left hand was switched to his right hand, and Binghua swooped towards the palace entrance guarded by the captain of the Angel Guard. But when he was 5 meters away from the Imperial Guards, Binghua stopped abruptly, flipped his right hand, and a heavy sword over 1 meter long was carried out of the wormhole. This is Binghua's first work, an arc sword that can emit dazzling flashes of light. Over the past few decades, Binghua has upgraded this weapon several times. The high temperature arc it creates has a higher temperature and a longer duration by 2 seconds. At the same time, its additional effect comparable to that of a flash bomb also strengthens Binghua. Binghua raised his sword and slashed. The sword blade, which was slightly wider than the palm of his hand, looked extremely heavy. The captain of the Imperial Guard raised his sword to the crossbar because he was watching the incoming sword blade. Bah! The dazzling electric arc flashed at close range, comparable to the light of a flash bomb, which made the captain of the Imperial Guard who was watching closely suffered a loss. His eyes were almost blinded, and his vision turned completely white. The captain of the Imperial Guard temporarily lost the ability to capture Binghua's movements. However, the soldier's consciousness was still there. The captain of the Imperial Guard immediately sheathed his sword and stood in front of him, listening carefully to the movements around him. What was heard was a scream and the sound of flesh being pierced. The captain of the guards immediately turned his head. With his eyes that could barely see, he could only see the image of one of his men losing strength and falling to the ground. Binghua took advantage of the sight of several male guard angels being affected by the dazzling flash, and did not choose the strongest guard's captain to attack. Instead, he quickly approached an ordinary soldier of the Imperial Guard. The heavy sword in his right hand pushed aside the long cross sword that was lying in front of him for defense, and the flaming dagger in his left hand mercilessly penetrated his chest. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 33. After Binghua stabbed an Angel Guard soldier to death with a sword, he immediately flapped his wings and retreated without any greed for the sword. The Angel Guards bared their teeth angrily, but did not pursue them. Seeing this, Binghua threw the arcape in his hand towards them. However, he was knocked aside by the captain of the Imperial Guard with his sword. The tip of the sword penetrated the wall a few inches deep, and the flash of light that exploded when the blades collided did not cause any trouble to the prepared captain of the Imperial Guard this time. Binghua shouted, "Sisters, help me!" Then Binghua reached out and took out his high-frequency wave knife and a bright silver Han sword about 1 meter and 3 meters long from the wormhole. Start the electric energy conversion algorithm, calculate the surrounding magnetic field strength, and start the Flying Sword Weapon Module No. 1 control system. Soon Binghua calculated the strength of the surrounding magnetic field based on the fixed template, and the electrical energy conversion began to simultaneously convert the dark energy in her body into electrical energy. A thread of electricity flowed along Binghua's fingers into the silver Han sword. Binghua let go the next moment, and the Han sword actually floated in the air. This is exactly the magnetic energy affinity sword that Binghua made on a whim after learning about magnetic energy levitation. Based on this characteristic, Binghua established a set of templates called Fekongyojian Weapon Module No. 1, which consisted of 100 silver alloy Han swords and had a set operating system. Just now, after Binghua shouted "Sisters, help me," 4 angels rushed out. It was Angel An, Angel Qing and others. Binghua switched weapons with his left and right hands, raised the high-frequency weekly knife, and slashed his arms vertically like a pendulum. He held the cross sword in one hand, and after hearing the ear-splitting metal collision sound, the captain of the Imperial Guard steadily caught Binghua's prepared attack. At the same time, the claws of his left hand quickly reached out, but a silver cold light suddenly shot out from the side, hitting the arm of the Imperial Guard captain that was grabbing Binghua's white neck. At this moment, Binghua's entire mind was absorbed in this battle, and he was frantically calculating various data in his mind. Only the captain of the Imperial Guard was in his sight, and everything around him became very blurry. But fortunately, Binghua shouted that voice before, which made Angel An and the girls determined to entangle the remaining 2 male angel guards on behalf of Binghua. Binghua and the male angel guard captain were going back and forth, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that Binghua was dancing on the tip of a knife, and he might be dead in the next moment. The captain of the Imperial Guard had rich combat experience, and his swordsmanship was simple and unpretentious, but all his moves were aimed at Binghua's vital points. Binghua relied on her years of swordsmanship training to develop her combat awareness and the interference from the erratic flying Han swords around her to survive. The scorching red high-frequency blade collided with the cross sword, and dazzling sparks exploded in an instant. Binghua's strength was no match for the Imperial Guard captain and was repelled directly. At this time, the flying Han sword came and interfered with the Imperial Guard captain's pursuit. It's both rogue and useful. Although the flying Han sword can only make a small hole in the body of the second-generation super soldier even with one charged blow, its impact is powerful. Force needs force to counteract it, and if you want to resist the flying Han sword coming from the sky, you have only 2 ways to avoid it or defend it, but these will take time. This resulted in the captain of the Imperial Guard being interrupted by the flying Han sword every time he was able to take advantage of the victory, making him extremely depressed and aggrieved. The captain of the Imperial Guard grabbed the flying Han sword that was fired from the air, and forcefully offset the impact that had been accumulated for a long time. "Let me see how many of these swords you still have. After I destroy them all, I will see how you can escape," the captain of the Imperial Guard said as he grasped the Han sword's body with a strong finger, and the blade was directly turned into a twisted metal twist. "Don't worry, I have enough inventory to deal with you." Binghua's breathing was rapid and his speech was a bit intermittent. A few strands of hair on his forehead were now wet with sweat and stuck to his ears. At the same time, he grabbed his left hand in the void. The micro-wormhole transport technology was activated, and a new silver alloy Han sword appeared. At the same time, Binghua was still calculating the time in his mind. There was less than 1 minute left. Binghua's right hand holding the knife tightened again, and a trace of bright red seeped out from between his fingers. The angel warriors outside were also anxious, because the space was small and they would only get in the way. The captain of the Imperial Guards fought with Binghua for more than a minute, never leaving the 5 meters distance from the palace gate. There were even several times when Binghua could be killed by just advancing a small distance, so he held it back in shock. After just over a minute of overloaded fighting, Binghua was about to reach her physical limit, and her vision was now a bit blurry. Suddenly, the happy voice of the female angel warrior commander Ella came through the public dark communication. "Sisters, Kesha has been rescued. Now gather near the insect gate and prepare to retreat." The expression of the originally gloomy female angel warrior turned from gloomy to clear. After looking at each other without saying anything, she turned around and started flying towards the direction she came from. Binghua naturally heard Ella's voice, and greeted Angel Ching and others through the dark communication, turned around and slipped away without hesitation. He ran away now. What a pity for such a hot-tempered beauty. The captain of the Imperial Guard looked at Binghua's leaving figure and secretly thought it was a pity, but he did not choose to pursue him because he had to guard the palace gate. But what the captain of the Imperial Guard didn't know was that the person he wanted to guard had just been stolen by Liang Bing using the insect gate. In fact, he didn't give chase even if he wanted to. The remaining 40 or 50 female angel warriors on the opposite side were not the usual weak women who only wanted to please them, but men who could kill with swords. As soon as he flew next to the insect gate where he arrived, Binghua suddenly fell to the ground. Fortunately, Angel and other angels who were following him stopped Binghua in time. Binghua, what's wrong with you? Don't scare us. Binghua felt like he had a splitting headache, his double eyelids were getting heavier and heavier, his vision began to blur, and there were echoes of the sounds he heard in his ears. In the end, Binghua simply passed out and lost all perception of the outside world. After an unknown amount of time, Binghua felt that she could finally control her eyelids, and finally opened her eyes after several attempts. The light that was not dazzling shone on his face, and Binghua couldn't help but raise his palm to block it in front of him. After a few seconds, Binghua adjusted to the light, twisted his neck and looked around, only to find that he was lying in a room with silver as the main color. Binghua, you finally woke up. A very surprising voice came from the side, and then a very familiar figure appeared in Binghua's sight. It was Angel and who had fought together before. And, it turns out to be you, and where is this place? Binghua looked at the unfamiliar walls with a metallic color around him and asked, but his voice was a little weak. Binghua, don't worry, it's very safe here. As for what kind of place this is, you will know later. Angelan was still wearing the warrior armor he wore during the battle, and Binghua was helped up by and sat on the bed. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 34. Several days have passed since Binghua woke up that day. Later, Binghua discovered that he was no longer in his original Tiancheng, and the development of the matter was a bit complicated. In short, after Binghua fell into coma, Ella, Liang Bing, and he 11 took the rescued Keisha to Mellow Star, the base camp of the female angels, through the ultra-long-distance insect gate that Liang Bing had grafted before. Naturally, the unconscious Binghua followed the large army to the Marrow Star. At the same time, the Marrow Academy in Tiancheng also launched a large-scale evacuation operation. Except for some female angels who had resigned themselves to their fate and were unwilling to leave, most of the remaining female angel students who had some relationship with Kesha and He Zidenfen left the Celestial City through the Insect Gate and gathered on Marrow Star to avoid the Celestial Palace. Wang Hui's Revenge. During the past few days when Binghua was recuperating, He 11, Liang Bing, and Angel Lan, whom she had known before, all came to visit Binghua. Even Angel Qing, who entered the Tiangong King city to serve the Tiangong King, took advantage of Binghua's opportunity to rescue Kesha and escaped, and is now a female angel warrior from Marrow Star. Binghua stood alone in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window. The scene outside made Binghua unable to feel any shock. The obelisk-shaped building with golden stripes reaches into the sky, surrounded by various gorgeous buildings with golden stripes. At the same time, when the light emitted by the stars of the Marrow Galaxy shines through the atmosphere on the golden stripes on these buildings, it will reflect bright golden light, making this place look like the legendary outer world. At the same time, teams of female angels in the sky, wearing silver metal armor and red cherry helmets with their visors pulled down, were patrolling back and forth among the tall buildings. Binghua raised his palm, and the cracked mouth that had been cracked by the shock had healed. You couldn't tell without looking carefully. As for the small scratch on the cheek, it was restored to its original state thanks to the medical technology of angel civilization. Although Binghua didn't have the strict requirements of ordinary women for her appearance, she still didn't like a small cut on her smooth and fair face. Boom, boom, boom. Hearing someone knocking on the door, Binghua turned around and said, "Please come in." He didn't care at all that he was wearing gauze white pajamas at the moment. With a click, one of the two metal doors engraved with special textures opened, and a person familiar to Binghua walked in. "Hexi. Why do you have time to see me?" He 11, who was dressed in military uniform, walked in with a familiar smile on his face. Without any courtesy, he walked to Binghua's bed and sat down. "It's okay, sister, can't I come and see you?" Binghua chuckled lightly. She was actually quite happy that Hexi could come to visit her. However, Binghua knew that Hexi was very busy these days, and this visit was not just to visit her. Binghua stayed in this room these past few days and did nothing. She used her skills in reading dark information to read some not-so-secret information. 70% of the angels gathered on Maro Star are female angels, and their number has reached an exaggerated number of more than 600,000. You must know that apart from some of the 600,000 female angels who are scientific research-type logistics angels, more than 400,000 are angel legions secretly trained by wealthy women such as Kesha, Hexi, Liangbing, and Ella. At the same time, there are 4 Tianren series Type 1 celestial class battleships that are close to completion and several ordinary large battleships. These are the results of the past 100 years, with Kesha, Liangbing, He 11 and Ella being the main leaders. Except for some of the resources supported by their own families, the 4 girls relied on their own personality charm to raise other resources from the vast number of fellow female angels in the Angel Nebula. At the same time, this is also a manifestation of the terror production capacity of the God-making civilization. As long as there are resources, it can develop rapidly in a short period of time. For example, a large-scale molecular synthesizer is comparable to a cloning machine. As long as there are design drawings and materials, it can produce various required parts with terrifying efficiency. This is also the reason why female angels were able to develop Maro Star to such prosperity in just a few hundred years. Binghua left in a hurry last time and didn't have a good talk with you. Binghua, why don't you cherish your body so much? Not only was the genetic computer severely overloaded, but it also caused injuries all over his body. He 11's tone was a little reproachful, but also a little distressed. When He 11 ended the dark message blocking and saw that his sister Binghua had blood on her hands and cheeks and fell into a coma, she didn't know how worried she was. Later, when he arrived at Melo Star, He 11 dragged his extremely tired body and checked Binghua's injuries in person. He was relieved when he found that there was still hope. Last time, Binghua just woke up from a coma, and Hexi didn't say anything when he came to visit. Now that Binghua is almost recovered, he immediately took the time to come and teach. "Sister Hexi, nothing happened to me." Binghua felt warm in her heart, but she deliberately acted like nothing was wrong. Seeing this, Hexi could only sigh helplessly. She and Binghua had been sisters for more than 100 years, so she naturally knew Binghua's character, otherwise she would not have invited Binghua to rescue Kesha. Despite Binghua's personality, she is usually very quiet and doesn't have many opinions. She seems to be easily manipulated. But how could someone who likes to practice swordsmanship and other battlefield fighting skills be the above-mentioned kind of person? Those are just some of her appearances. That's all. So Hexi had a headache. In her heart, she didn't want Binghua to participate in the frontal battlefield. It was best to be a logistics angel, but Hexi knew very well that Binghua was absolutely unwilling to do this. At that time, the only thing they could do was make the two sisters unhappy, so He 11 could only tell Binghua again to be careful in the future, and don't rush into anything when something happens. Binghua naturally nodded in agreement and promised Hexi that he would never take risks again. As for whether this was true, no one knew. Binghua, after Kesha woke up, we had a negotiation with Huaye, but it failed. Huaye didn't take us female angels seriously at all. He also threatened to lead an army of angels to destroy the Marrow Star, and capture Kesha, Liangbing, me, and Ella back to the heavenly palace to be princesses. He 11 then told the news, his face became very angry, and his dislike for Huaye in his tone rose to the extreme. What's going on when Kesha wakes up? Binghua captured the key information in Hexie's words and asked. Alas! Binghua, you may not know that after Kesha was forcibly taken away by Huaye, she directly sealed her consciousness in the dark plane to avoid being humiliated and tortured by Huaye. To put it simply, it means losing all perception and control of the body, and the whole person is like a vegetative state. When he 11 said this, he also blocked the surrounding dark information data, obviously not wanting this news to spread. After Liangbing used the insect gate to rescue Kesha, I discovered that Kesha had closed her consciousness. It took me 2 days after arriving on Marrow Planet to crack Kesha's dark plane firewall and reawaken her consciousness. Hexie and Binghua sat beside the bed and talked together. In their words, Hexie was obviously very unhappy with Kesha. You must know that Hexie and Kesha have a very good relationship and they are like sisters. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 35. After Kesha woke up, she obviously didn't want to say more about what happened to her after being captured by Huaye, and he 11 and Liangbing didn't ask any more questions. After all, this was not a glorious thing. However, Kesha's character has changed a bit after this incident, and she has become much calmer and more decisive. This can be seen from Kesha's ability to suppress her dislike of Huaye and use her hundreds of thousands of female angels as capital to negotiate with Huaye. But in terms of the result, it was a failure. At the end, Kesha and Huaye spat at each other across the projection screen. On the other side of the screen, Huaye used obscene words to tease the 4 senior executives of the female angel group. However, in addition to Liangbing, who cursed a few times, Hexie, Kesha and Ella, etc., his face turned green with anger. After chatting about some of the current top angels topics, he 11 finally revealed her ultimate purpose of visiting Binghua today. Binghua, are you willing to officially join the female angel army? Sister Hexie, do you still need to ask? I have already participated in a battle in the name of the Angel Legion. Binghua replied, and Hexie laughed after hearing this, cursing himself for asking a stupid question. Binghua, after discussions between me, Liangbing, Kesha and Ella, I will grant you the position of a first-class guard angel under the Heavenly Sword Legion, one of the 4 angel legions, and the right to allocate the flaming sword. Hexie's tone became solemn and formulaic, because a military group must look like a military group. It's okay for sisters to fight with each other, but in formal situations, the relationship is between superiors and subordinates. Yes, I am willing to accept it. Binghua also stood up straight, imitating the military appearance he had seen in his previous life, and answered loudly. Okay, it's just the 2 of us sisters here. There's no need to be so serious. Let's go take a good look at the soldiers under your command later. Hexie patted Binghua's right shoulder and said with a smile. After Hexie left, Binghua began to clean up the room, because she was about to leave here and go to the station where her guardian angel was. Before leaving, Binghua had to put on her newly issued female angel breastplate. First of all, the breastplate. Because of Binghua's habit of wrapping her breasts, Binghua's angel breastplate did not have a raised round breastplate. A minute later, Binghua was fully dressed. The angel's armor was slightly different due to his different status. Just like today's Binghua, whose position is a first-class guardian angel, the structure of her armor, gauntlets, and skirt has become more complex and thick, and there are 2 more small golden lines on the shoulder armor. As for why it is not made too obvious, it is easy to become a target for attracting firepower on the battlefield. As for the position of a first-level guardian angel, it is equivalent to the independent leader on Earth in the previous life, commanding 6 second-level guardian angels. The second-level guard angels command 5 third-level guard angels. The third-level guard angels command 20 ordinary guard angels. An ordinary guard angel is responsible for commanding 105-person angel combat teams. This is the current military organization of female angels. It is very simple and clear, because the number of subordinates is not large, and orders can be quickly passed down. The mission of the guardian angels is to protect the commander of the army, and they also exist as the elite force of today's female angels. As for the commander of the Heavenly Sword Legion, the angel Ella is the leader. The entire legion has the right to allocate one Heavenly Blade Series Type 1 celestial warship and several large angel warships. Binghua recalled the information now disclosed on Marrow Planet in his mind, and at the same time, relying on the dark information he read, he began to fly towards the location of your legion. From time to time, a 5-person patrol team of female angels armed with heavy swords and alloy spears can be seen in the sky. They shuttle among the towering gold and silver buildings to patrol the city. It can be said that the military group established by the female angels now has some flavor, but we don't know how it will perform in actual combat. Binghua flew for a few minutes and landed on a platform extending from the top of a sword-shaped building that looked like a sword reaching into the sky, with its white wings folded behind its back. The 10 ordinary female angel warriors on the platform who pulled down their visors did not stop her, because the armor on Binghua's body had already revealed her identity. Because of the composition of the female angel corps, all female angels have equal status. Although Binghua is now a first-level guardian angel, in fact Binghua only has the authority to command during wartime. You are the new escort angel Binghua, right? Commander Ella has been waiting for you for a long time. Just when Binghua entered the building and was admiring the gorgeous and luxurious interior decoration, a blonde female angel with a ponytail came over with a friendly smile. Yes, I am Binghua. The Legion commander is looking for me. The female angel with the ponytail nodded with a smile and then introduced herself. Hello Binghua, my name is Zi and I am the commander's command messenger. Nice to meet you. Binghua naturally did not have a cold face and showed a faint smile. Then Zi led Binghua towards a passage. In fact, most female angels are picky in their aesthetics. They like pure and sacred things, and silver and gold fit perfectly with these two things. Therefore, both the buildings and the armor on the female angels on Marrow Star are composed of silver and a small amount of gold. Of course, they have been matted, otherwise they will be too dazzling. After a short walk, Binghua finally met Ella, the commander of the Heavenly Sword Legion. This is the second meeting between the two. The first meeting was during the operation to rescue Kesha. The room where the Legion commander was located was unusually wide. On a high platform seat more than 10 meters away was a female angel whose armor was much more gorgeous than Binghua's. The long, smooth hair is like dazzling golden threads that are stretched to the extreme, hanging down on both sides of the ears. A pair of crystal-like blue eyes under the eyebrow-length slanted bangs are staring at Binghua at the moment. This is the second time we have met, Angel Binghua. Ella's tone was very friendly, just like a greeting between friends, without the condescension of a superior. Yes, Commander Ella. Binghua's tone didn't have much respect, it was just a normal answer. However, due to the height of the two positions, Binghua had to raise his head to see Ella's face clearly. Sure enough, what he 11 said is right. Binghua, you are like a born warrior. You are not afraid of this kind of emotion, whether you are on the battlefield or here. After Ella and Binghua looked at each other for a while, Ella was the first to break the calm, and then continued without waiting for Binghua to speak. You performed very well in the operation to rescue Kesha, so I took you from Hexi and separated you sisters. You won't be angry with me, right? No, I think I will be useful whether it is with Sister Hexie or the army commander. Binghua's tone was very confident. After waking up from the coma, Binghua also had a little uncomfortable psychological reaction to her murder, but it quickly disappeared. On the contrary, she was looking forward to the next meeting with the captain of the Imperial Guard. Fight again. I will try my best to keep double updates. The author feels that the first update is a bit delayed. I will release some detailed settings of this book in the future. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 36. Okay, be confident, I like a warrior like you. Binghua, you will be responsible for commanding the 3rd escort team of the Skyblade battleship, stationed in the flank area of the Skyblade battleship. It's the Legion commander. Hearing Ella's words, Binghua immediately raised his right hand and placed it on his chest, indicating that he accepted the order. As for this etiquette, it was learned from other angel warriors, and it seems to have become a standard action for the female angel army. After leaving the base of the Sky Sword Legion, Binghua quickly arrived at the location of the Skyblade battleship where she needed to be stationed. Like a sharp sword hanging upside down in the sky, the top is a floating island building that is a mixture of silver and gold metal and a giant mountain. On top of it sits a magnificent palace that looks very spectacular. The spread-shaped metal wings on both sides of the battleship covered half of the sky. The numerous slender turrets located on it were pointing diagonally high into the sky, as if they were defending against enemies falling from the sky. The long sword-like thing below the battleship points straight to the ground, as if it will fall down at any moment to judge the enemy. The Tianren Type 1 celestial warship has a total height of 26,000 meters, not counting its wingspan, and a width of about 12,000 meters. It can carry tens of thousands of angel warriors at the same time. Its main energy supply method is stellar energy grafting and extraction technology, which connects or directly extracts the energy supply system to the stars in the current galaxy to achieve an almost unlimited energy supply. However, limited by energy output limitations, unlimited energy is only a theoretical value. At the same time, the Skyblade battleship can create a light energy protective barrier that covers the entire battleship. In addition, the Skyblade warship also has long-distance space jumping capabilities, a high-power twisted light energy array main gun and hundreds of dark energy particle rail guns located around the hull. Judging from the original design intention, the Skyblade battleship is like a giant mobile fortress, with both protective firepower and firepower. It can be said that it is armed to the teeth. Even Binghua couldn't help but marvel at the design of the Tianren battleship after boarding the ship. The appearance was secondary, and the main thing was the built-in technology. This was definitely a big project. For example, light energy barriers, star-driven grafting technology, etc., all of which require a long time to study. As far as Binghua knew, the design of the Skyblade battleship was jointly designed by He-11, Liang Bing, and Kesha. He-11 is responsible for the energy supply system and weapons system of the Skyblade hull, Liang Bing is responsible for related technologies such as time and space jump, and Kesha is responsible for the light energy barrier and the hull's appearance design. The reason why the Skyblade battleship had such a high technical content from the beginning was inseparable from the contributions of He-11, Liang Bing and Kesha. Binghua came to the flank position where he was stationed, where 6 second-level guard angels were standing. Judging from their appearance, they seemed to have been waiting for a while. The handover went smoothly and quickly. Because of the dark information channel, Binghua did not need to see his guardian angels and could directly issue orders from a distance. The Tianren battleship has a high degree of automation. In addition to the dozens of angels in the battleship command room, all facilities on the ship are maintained by the shipboard intelligence system. So Binghua didn't need to worry about anything, he only needed to carry out the orders from the Legion commander. However, the good times did not last long. Binghua suddenly received an order from the Legion commander. All first-level guard angels were ordered to attend a meeting at the palace where the Skyblade Legion was based on Marrow Star. Outside the towering giant palace with a hint of Greek style, Binghua and the other first-class guard angels around him walked into the grand palace in an orderly queue. All the first-level guardian angels were silent. After standing on both sides of the aisle with some red carpets in the middle, they were as motionless as sculptures. Binghua took the opportunity to secretly look at the female angels around him, and found quite a few familiar figures. Most of them were old faces who had participated in the rescue operation for Kesha, and only half were new faces that they had never seen before. And because they belong to different legions, the standing first-level guard angels also vaguely appear in four square formations. Under the highest platform in the palace, on the left are 31st level guard angels from the Skyblade Legion and 31st level guard angels from the Apocalypse Legion. On the right side of the high platform are 30 Guardian Angels from the Sky Base Legion and 30 Guardian Angels from the Sky Sword Legion. The hall is very quiet and solemn. It seems that this is a very sacred place and no trace of profanity is allowed. After everyone stood still, 4 figures wearing gorgeous armor with white fluffy scarves and floor-length cloaks behind them entered the palace together and walked towards the high platform in the innermost part of the palace. Then 4 figures sat on the 4 main seats on the high platform. On the left were the 2 sisters Kesha and Liang Bing, and on the right were the 2 female angels Hexi and Ella. The Legion meeting will now begin, and the content of the meeting will be broadcast live throughout Marrow Star. Kesha's voice echoed throughout the hall, and everyone could hear it clearly. All sisters, I am Kesha. I believe most of the sisters on Marrow Planet know me. After discussions between me and the other 3 Legion commanders, I am going to announce a major news today, but before that, I want to talk about what will bring us all together on this planet. 100 years ago, the angel King Huake fell in a war with the animal Sarah civilization, and then the Prince Huaya came to power. After Huaya came to power, he proposed the so-called Order of the Heavenly Palace and advocated hedonism, which led to the further decline of the status of female angels in angel civilization. Sisters can't bear the persecution of us by our fathers, the bullying of us by our husbands, and the way men treat us like slaves. Thus we escaped from the hometown where we grew up, left that indifferent family, and gathered together on Marrow Star. We regard this place as our new home, where there is no discrimination and no father who forces us to marry. We are not afraid of hardships, building our new home day and night, and finally have the current Marrow Star and the 4 angel legions that protect our common home. But the male angels don't want to let us go just like this. They want to continue to enslave us and make us female angels become victims of the Order of the Heavenly Palace. Sisters, do you think we can agree? Kesha stood up from her seat, pointed a finger at the top of her head with her right hand, and asked loudly. There was an infectious power in her words. No. No. The guarding angels in the palace hall shouted, and even Binghua himself couldn't help but echoed. Very good. It seems that the goals of the sisters are the same. We will never give up our current free life and return to being vassals of male angels. A few days ago, we had a negotiation with the other 3 Legion commanders and the Tiangong King, but the Tiangong King Huaya was unwilling to accept the conditions we proposed. They say that we women should be the vassals of their men. Just to please them. Exists as a fertility machine. At the same time, a large army will be sent to encircle Marrow Star, hoping to use war to solve the problem. So sisters of angels, what should be our answer? Kesha's words were like a spark splashing on gasoline, immediately igniting the anger in the hearts of female angels who had been bullied by male angels. Something was delayed today, so there is only one update. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 37. War. War. Except for a few female angels like Binghua who joined the Angel Legion because they wanted to change the status of female angels, the other female angels were trapped in a state of sharing the same hatred and shouting the word war. Hearing the unanimous words below, Kesha waved her hand. Then war. At this moment, Kesha stood on the high platform, her figure pointing to the sky was extremely dazzling, like a tough and upright pillar. But Binghua caught the flash of worry on He 11's face who was sitting on the high platform. Since that day, Marrow Star has been in a state of war mobilization, because the female angel army has just been established and everything is unfamiliar. The so-called mobilization before war means checking the equipment, and the guardian angels began to accelerate to become familiar with the command and combat mode. The same goes for Binghua, and she received the flaming sword assigned to her, which made Binghua very happy. The flaming sword is actually very rare on the Merlo planet. Only a few have been produced in total, and a small half of them were the cross swords seized during the last operation to rescue Kesha and were remelted and cast. At the same time, the flame sword also embodies Binghua's hard work. Binghua is actually very happy to see his design adopted by the Angel Legion. At the same time, this is also the reason why Binghua was awarded the position of first-class guard angel as soon as he joined the Angel Legion. But it's a pity that because I came in a hurry, I didn't have time to bring over the weapons I made in Tiancheng. Only the close-fitting high-frequencies Hubo Hengdao and the flame-level dagger were brought over, and the rest, such as the flying Han sword and the electric arc heavy sword, fell to Tiancheng. Binghua sat on the metal bracket on the metal side, with her feet dangling in the air, gently stroking the frosted blade of the flaming sword like a lover, while thinking about the transformation plan in her mind. This can be regarded as one of Binghua's instincts. The first time he sees a weapon, he will wonder if its performance can be improved. Just like the flaming sword in his hand, Binghua came up with several transformation plans based on the existing materials. The first is to take out the weapon engine of the flaming dagger given to him by his father Yoni and install it in the flaming sword. As long as you import the calculated formula into the weapon engine in advance, you can assist yourself in calculations during battle, so that some attack effects that rely on small equipment can be directly realized. The second option is to make a low-end microcomputer and place it in the flaming sword, which can also achieve the above functions, but the effect will be much reduced. Sorry, sisters, I was thinking about something just now. Binghua suddenly found that the 6th level guard angels under his command were looking at the flaming sword in his hand with envy. Binghua, is this the flaming sword? It looks so beautiful. Can I have a look? A female angel who looked young asked cautiously. Binghua just smiled slightly, turned the sword upside down and held the hilt behind her back and handed it to the young female angel in front of her. It's nothing rare. Feel free to look at it if you want. You will also have the opportunity to allocate the flaming sword in the future. Binghua looked at the few young female angels chattering around the flaming sword, turned her head and couldn't help but look at the sea of clouds in front of her, thinking about something in her mind. Most of the soldiers of the Angel Legion are very young, mostly around 100 or 200 years old, which is equivalent to a young girl in her 17 or 18 years old. Under normal circumstances, these angel girls with beautiful faces should live a carefree life under the love of their parents. But the reality is this. Under the impact of the order of the heavenly palace, the life of normal female angels is not good. That's why these young female angels join the Angel Legion to fight for a splendid future for themselves or their future sisters. At the same time they are very innocent and a simple thing can make these young female angels happy all day long. Just like a little girl who is not yet mature, she does not understand what kind of thorny road she is about to face. But this doesn't stop Binghua from thinking they are cute. Kesha's last public speech on Marrow Star was spread throughout the Angel Nebula. There are those who disdain it, there are those who agree with it, and there are also those who yearn for it. Hua-ya really couldn't sit still this time. As the orthodox king of angel civilization, if he could still remain indifferent after seeing the video of Kesha's speech and continue to enjoy himself leisurely in the city of Tiangong, maybe after a while he was kicked off the throne by someone else. Kesha, you stinky bitch. Isn't this a public slap in my face? What is she trying to do? She wants to resist the orthodoxy of angelic civilization. With an angry look on his face, Huaye walked back and forth in the palace several times before sitting down on the throne that symbolized the King of Angels. King, I think this kind of behavior must not be tolerated. If we leave Kesha alone, the majesty of Tiancheng will be greatly affected. Suri stepped forward, bowed, and then spoke. Of course I know this. I haven't paid much attention to this group of beauties. At this moment, all the famous generals under the Huaye group gathered in the palace, divided into 2 rows, standing under Huaye's throne. King, why don't we just go to Mellow Star and kill all the women who dare to go against you? A very tall male angel wearing thick silver armor walked out of the queue on the left and spoke to Huaye. Go, go. Just kill, kill, kill all those beauties. How can we continue to be happy? Do you like men? As soon as Huaye's words came out, the expressions of several male angel generals next to Xingyo changed, and they quickly distanced themselves from Xingyo, causing the latter's face to turn red. King, what Xingyo said makes sense. We can't watch Kesha continue to be rampant, otherwise it will damage your majesty. A slender and handsome long-haired male angel standing on the right took a step forward to relieve Xingyo, and at the same time agreed with Suri's opinion. Let me think. Huaye sat on the throne and lowered his chin, lost in thought. The people below don't say much. As subordinates, they only have the right to make suggestions and not the final decision-making power. If they exceed their authority, they will die soon. Assemble all the troops under the Tiangong banner and go to the Merlot Star. I want those girls to know what despair means, so that they will never dare to resist me again. After thinking for a while, Huaye stretched out his palm and grasped it, as if he was holding something in the void. Yes, I will obey the king's orders. The male angels below saw that Huaye, the helmsman of the heavenly palace order, had already made a decision, so the sailors like them could only try their best to sail this big ship. Of course, Huaye was not a fool to sit on the throne. Although he hugged and sang every night, his brain was still there after all, so he planned to cut through the mess quickly and directly suppress the signs of rebellion of female angels. Otherwise, those expatriate kings who were already a little restless would not be able to stop themselves from seeing the female angels living so well. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 38. After the order from the heavenly palace King Huaye was issued, the war machine that succeeded the previous angel King Huake began to operate efficiently. Although Huaye likes to have fun, he still has a strong control over the army. The original angel commanders of the older generation were replaced by the younger generation of his own faction. Although some people were dissatisfied, no one dared to really show it. They could only hold their anger in their hearts and occasionally use some small stumbling blocks in the dark. Just like this time Huaye ordered to assemble the army and go to Merrow Star. This is completely the internal conflict of the angel civilization. There are some angels of the older generation who are trying to mediate back and forth between Mellow Star and Tiancheng. In short, the angel nebula is surrounded by powerful enemies, and it cannot afford internal friction now. But both parties disliked each other. Kesha wanted to take revenge for Huaye's humiliation, and Huaye's conditions were indeed a bit too harsh. Huaye wanted to maintain the stability of his throne and could not tolerate Kesha openly defying his authority as king of Tiangong. The last time Huaye was negotiating, he said that he would send a large army to destroy Merrow Star, which was just a bit of talk. Unexpectedly, female angels were so strong-willed. A few days later, they issued a declaration of war, intending to use war to regain the original rights of female angels. This made Huaye, the king of Tiangong, unable to come to power. It was like a gangster boss being pointed at and scolded by a subordinate. If we don't kill this subordinate immediately and re-establish the authority of the boss in front of all his subordinates, people will be scattered and the team will be difficult to lead. After a week of waiting, King Tiangong's army was finally assembled and marched towards the Marrow Galaxy. A total of 600,000 angels and a coalition of several affiliated civilizations under Tiangong marched toward the Marrow Galaxy. Among them were 6 Celestial-class battleships and several other ordinary battleships. Marrow Star naturally also received this news, and various defense equipment began to work overtime to build. Various giant dark matter orbital turrets stand up on the surface of Marrow Star, and space position disruption devices to prevent space wormhole jumps are also scattered throughout the cosmic space in the Marrow Galaxy. 4 huge celestial warships with a width of more than 20 kilometers, the Skyblade, also took off and suspended above the female angel city of Marrow Star, like 4 upside-down giant swords suspended in the sky. Even Binghua, who is a first-level guardian angel, has begun to become busy, checking the environment on the flanks of the Skyblade, compiling his own data map, and preparing for use in battle. However, the news that Huaye was going to send troops to attack did not cause any panic to the angels of Marrow Star. Angel civilization only has a small number of civilians. It can be said that it is a race where all people are soldiers. Just like the Mellow Star today, except for some logistics and scientific research angels, all the rest can fight with swords. When the angels who originally lived on Merlo Star heard that a war was about to break out here, all the angels who needed to leave left, leaving only a small number of angels. The clouds of war shrouded the sky above Marrow Star. Although the sunshine was still so soft, Binghua could not feel the slightest warmth. Just the day before, 15 first-level guard angels were transferred from the Heavenly Sword Legion, 90 second-level guard angels were transferred, and 450 third-level guard angels were transferred. As for the 5-person angel combat teams under the Guardian Angels, they were all assigned to the leadership of the remaining 15 first-level Guardian Angels. Binghua's workload doubled, but he quickly adapted and established a separate dark communication channel to facilitate contact. At the same time, as far as Binghua knows, the Tianji Legion, the Apocalypse Legion and the Skyblade Legion have also deployed a large number of first-level Guard Angels, second-level Guard Angels and third-level Guard Angels. These angels seem to have disappeared on Marrow Star. From that day on, no sister has seen these guardian angels on Marrow Star. Binghua guessed that these large numbers of guardian angels who suddenly disappeared must be performing a very important and hidden mission, otherwise they would never have mobilized the elite before the war started. The Hui group's fleet was very fast, as if it couldn't wait to conquer the Marrow Star. It made continuous space jumps all the way, and arrived at the outskirts of the Marrow Star system in a few days. Because space disruption devices were scattered in the Marrow Galaxy, the quality of space changed drastically. The Tiangong fleet without measurement data was unable to freely conduct space jumps in the Marrow Galaxy. So it stopped just outside the Mellow Galaxy. 6 giant inverted cone-shaped warships are suspended in the universe, with mountains, rivers, flowers, and continuous palaces on top. It is said that the warship is actually more like a moving palace, but some of the gun ports on it and the transparent energy curtain that wraps the entire giant hull show that it is not just a palace. Surrounding these 6 celestial warships are countless spaceships with golden retro decorations on their surfaces that look like ancient warships. These ancient warships used space as the sea and formed an arrow formation to guard the surroundings of the celestial warships. But at the forefront of the Hui group's fleet group was a huge fleet composed of a motley crew. There are no giant celestial battleships in this fleet. The largest one is only about 3,000 meters in length. The rest are space battleships of several hundred meters and assault ships more than 100 meters long. On the celestial battleship named Tiangong, in an open-air palace at the center of it, Huaye sat on a throne 10 meters above the ground. In front of the throne, a dozen male angels with wings fluttering were suspended in 2 rows on the left and right. On the ground below the palace, there are square formations of thousands of male Angel Legion soldiers arranged neatly. Just seeing this picture will give people a sense of humility under power and royal authority. Huaya sat on the throne and looked at the soldiers under his command below. He felt very satisfied. Every time he went out to fight, he was the most dazzling king of Tiangong. Well, why did you stop suddenly? Huaya was sitting on the throne and tapping the armrest. Suddenly he felt that the battleship was no longer moving forward, so he asked. King, we have arrived at the Marrow Galaxy. Suri put one hand on his chest and said, explaining at the same time. However, because we have detected changes in the surrounding space data, we cannot jump directly to the outer reaches of Marrow Star. We can only let the battleship sail slowly over. Okay, then just drive over. Although Huaya was a little impatient, there was nothing he could do about it. Although the scenery was nice, it was also very boring. He faced the pitch-black universe every day. When Suri saw that his king, Huaya, had agreed, he opened the dark communication and started scheduling. Order the entire fleet to head straight to the location of Marrow Star. Remember to put the warships of the affiliated civilizations in front. Then the huge fleet that had just paused moved again, and it was in the direction of Marrow Star. This scene was naturally detected by the female angels on Marrow Planet. In an instant, the female angels who were still training or gathering together for fun immediately received the gathering message. The previous chapters 17 and 20 were blocked, which made me confused. I didn't know which one was against the rules. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 39. Boom. A group of gorgeous fireworks exploded in the dark universe. Huaya, who was sitting on the throne, was already a little numb. He felt like he was on his way to a celebration, and fireworks exploded in the sky from time to time. These are already the 30-odd ordinary warships that have hit unknown traps and exploded. Of course, they are all warships belonging to the affiliated civilization in front. Although this loss is actually very small for the Tiangong Group's fleet, it is disgusting. How long will it take? This fireworks explosion makes me feel sick. King, we are very close to Marrow Star. It will take less than a day to reach the outer atmosphere of Marrow Star. After hearing the report from his subordinates, Huaya, who was sitting on the throne, changed his posture, closed his eyes and tapped impatiently on the metal throne armrest beside him. Invite all the angel warriors from Marrow Star to board the ship. The fleet will set sail in half an hour. These words echoed in Merlo homeland, the gorgeous city where female angels gathered. Binghua walked in the front holding a flaming sword, followed by 6 second-level guard angels with their helmets and visors pulled down, followed by third-level guard angels. Come on board now, sisters, stay at their posts and be on call at any time. Yes. Binghua walked to the end of the platform and spread her wings behind her back, flying towards the Skyblade warship belonging to the Skysword Legion in the sky. Countless female angels fluttering their white wings hovered over Marrow's homeland and entered the Skyblade battleships of their respective legions. At the same time, some 100-meter-long transport ships were also filled with angel warriors holding silver spears. After the 4 female angel legion soldiers gathered and boarded the ship, the huge Skyblade battleship stirred up the sea of clouds in the sky and flew out of the atmosphere. Binghua stood on the side platform of the Tianren battleship, watching the surrounding environment slowly change from the interior of the planet to the silent space of the universe. In addition to the discomfort of being exposed to the vacuum of the universe for that moment, Binghua gradually adapted to the vacuum environment of the universe that did not require breathing. The ability to fight and survive in space is one of the criteria for a super soldier, but the cost is much greater than in the atmosphere. At the same time, the survival conditions for super soldiers no longer only need to be obtained from food and air. The activity of super genes in the body alone is enough to maintain survival in the universe for several days and the cost of fighting. In addition, the armor on Binghua's body not only has a defensive function, but also exudes a weak stance, blocking most of the harmful radiation in the universe. Binghua felt that it was almost the same as in Marrow Star except that it was a bit colder. At the same time, Binghua's sight could already see the Tiangong fleet group in the distance that was as big as a sesame seed. 4 Skyblade battleships were lined up, and the gaps between them were filled with transport ships full of female angel warriors. There were no fancy words or pre-battle exchanges. When the female angel came up, she planned to strike first. The spread wings of the 4 Skyblade warships suddenly glowed with a faint burning red color, and began to draw away the stellar energy scattered in the Marrow galaxy. Then a ball of orange-red blazing energy began to twist and gather in the middle of the Skyblade battleship's hull, and rotated in a vortex. As dazzling as a few sparks lighting up in the darkness, Huaye, who was sitting on the throne, immediately sat up straight. "What is that?" "King, that stellar energy driving technology. I didn't expect that group of female angels to actually load it onto the battleship," Suri explained, with a bit of surprise in his tone. "Isn't that powerful?" Huaye asked while touching his shank. "King, don't worry, it's just the most basic stellar technology. Our Tiangong shield is enough to resist it?" Suri's answer made Huaye feel relieved, and he waved his hand. "Okay, then there is no need to waste words with those beauties. All the troops will press forward together to let those beauties know that we men are not existences that they can resist." 10 seconds later, 4 100-meter thick orange-red scorching light beams shot out from the front of the Skyblade battleship. The space in front of them seemed to be distorted by the extremely high temperature emitted by the light beams. I saw 4 orange-red beams of light piercing through the miscellaneous fleet group composed of affiliated civilizations under the Tiangong order at the front. In the end, the light beam bombarded the huge and eye-catching Tiangong main celestial battleship, but it was blocked by a layer of shield, exploded and scattered to form several giant orange-red fire rings. The King of Tiangong has given an order to attack the entire fleet, targeting the enemy's celestial warship. Whoever captures Kaisha, Liangbing, He-11, and Ella alive will be rewarded heavily by the King of Tiangong. The entire space in the universe reverberated with this order. Although the affiliated civilization was shocked by the concentrated rays that the star could beam just now, it became collectively excited at this time. Like hounds eager to show their loyalty to their masters, they all turned on the engine power of their respective civilized battleships to the maximum and rushed in the direction of the Skyblade battleship, all hoping to get the sweet bone promised by Huaye. There are thousands of space battleships of various types covering all the space in front of the Skyblade battleship, like a rolling wave of metal rolling over. The Skyblade guards stay behind, and all the other guardian angels under the Sky Sword Legion will obey the order. Use the swords in your hands to let the enemy know that we are invincible." After hearing Ayla's order, Binghua raised the flaming sword and pointed forward, and shouted the order in the dark communication channel. "Attack! Destroy the enemy to the best of your ability." After saying that, the folded angel wings behind Binghua opened, and then his body shot into the space ahead like an arrow from a string. Binghua was not the only one. There were about hundreds of thousands of female angel warriors rushing out from the 4 Skyblade battleships at this moment. At the same time, the 4 Skyblade warships also followed the countless Angel Legion soldiers ahead and moved forward to provide them with fire support. Like a white ocean composed of female angel warriors, it drowned the motley fleet rushing towards them. Binghua flapped the wings on his back at high speed, with a calm expression on his face. The flaming sword was held by his right hand and hung by his side, and his whole body was like a jet of light. From a battleship that looked like a flagship in the motley fleet, a tall and powerful figure with horns on his head gave the order. "Aim forward and fire with all your strength, release all the shipborne space fighters, Open the protective shields and don't let them rush into the battleship. The people around him immediately gave orders to the warships belonging to the same civilization. In an instant, in addition to those 100-meter-long assault ships, flagships of various affiliated civilizations that were hundreds of meters or kilometers long opened the hatches on the hull one after another, and space fighters several meters long began to fly out of the hull as if for free. Rush out. At the same time, countless energy beams slanted out from the muzzles of each battleship towards the charging female Angel Legion. Obviously, interstellar war seems to have returned to the war mode of the pre-nuclear civilization era. The common group charge tactics used by female angels were directly covered by fire strikes on Tiangong's affiliated civilization, and then the space fighter troops pressed on. Facing countless incoming energy beams, Binghua could calculate the trajectory of the shots in his mind in an instant, and then he could easily dodge them with a slight sway of his flying body. Not to mention guard-level angels, even ordinary female angel warriors can easily dodge the dense energy beams that are shot at them. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 40. This seemingly abnormal scene is actually the most normal situation. The reason why super soldiers are called super soldiers is because they can do things that ordinary life forms cannot do. Although the battle between male and female angels is ordinary, it is just like fighting with cold weapons. But Binghua once secretly tested his own strength, and at the extreme state, he could explode dozens of tons of terrifying power. Compared with ordinary people, this is a small Superman. Even a big truck can easily overturn you. But when you are surrounded by people with the same strength as you, Binghua's physical fitness is very obvious. Just ordinary. With such a powerful body, it naturally has a strong ability to withstand strikes. People often say that the development of weapons is often an era ahead of armor. The angel civilization is no exception. Just like the alloy swords or spears that come standard with angel warriors, in the aerospace civilization they are precious super alloys that are difficult to synthesize in batches, but in the god-making civilization they are just common mainland products. Only such alloy weapons can break through the tough skin of the first-generation super soldiers and split their flesh. You must know that the crushing of technology is no joke. At the same time, super soldiers are creatures at a level higher than ordinary life forms, and their brain development will naturally be improved. The improvement of brain development brings about an all-round improvement in memory, reaction, calculation ability, and logical thinking ability. This is also the reason why the standard weapons of the god-making civilization are all cold weapons, because the shooting trajectories of long-range weapons such as firearms are too rigid. This rigid attack can be easily avoided by relying on the super soldier's brain calculation power and reflexes. According to the concepts of various civilizations in the universe, the combat power of the first-generation super warriors is equivalent to that of an assault ship of tens of meters in size from an aerospace civilization. This is the situation today. The massive firepower tilted by the warships attached to the aerospace-class civilization under the Tiangong order has had little effect. In the end, they had to rely on dense swarms of space fighters to kill the super soldiers with close combat tactics. Seeing the dense space fighter planes rushing towards him, Binghua raised the flaming sword in his hand and ordered at the same time in the dark communication channel. "Sisters, don't get too entangled with space fighters, give priority to destroying the enemy's large battleships." After saying that, Binghua took the lead and rushed into the group of space fighters. The moment he passed by a space fighter, he slashed out with his sword. The space fighter's weak armor was easily sliced open by the flaming sword like tofu, and then the space fighter turned into a ball of gorgeous fireworks. This is not only the case here in Binghua, but also the female angel warriors who have contact battles with the space fighter groups in other places. They rely on their flexible wings to spin the space fighter planes around. In just a few minutes, dozens of space fighters were wiped out by Binghua's sword. Several beams of light shot past one side of his body. Binghua turned around and saw a triangular space fighter rushing towards him. Binghua immediately flapped her wings and rushed towards him. During several turns, Binghua also dodged several beams of light coming from other directions. At the moment when he was about to collide with the fighter plane, Binghua's body suddenly floated up, just in time to avoid the oncoming fighter plane, and then he raised his sword and slashed towards the cockpit. The next moment, the space fighter's cockpit was destroyed by the flaming sword. The air pressure inside and outside the space fighter was imbalanced, and it directly disintegrated into a ball of scrap metal parts in the universe. After charging forward for a while, Binghua finally broke into the fleet group, and suddenly countless dense energy beams were shot at her. Binghua's eyes quickly moved up and down, left and right to scan the incoming energy beam, and then calculated the optimal escape route in his brain. The battleship's turret attacked Binghua, just like using a cannon to hit mosquitoes. Binghua was seen dodging in various postures among countless interlaced energy beams, but he didn't even get a scratch. As Binghua rushed into the fleet group, more female angels also rushed in, plus a large group of space fighters chasing the female angel warriors. In an instant, the miscellaneous fleet group was turned into a mess by the two, and the originally neat formation also became chaotic. Binghua turned over to avoid the beams fired by several space fighters, and slashed out with the flaming sword in his hand, striking an indestructible energy shield. I saw a circle of ripples on the energy shield spreading rapidly, but it did not break. When Binghua saw this figure, he immediately retreated. The next moment, his position was filled with energy beams. Apply to connect to the flagship of the Sky Sword Legion, analyze the energy strength of the shield in front of you, and request to use firepower to break its shield. Among the 4 Skyblade warships that are supporting large light energy barriers to withstand intensive firebombing dozens of kilometers away, the one belonging to the Sky Sword Legion is in the bridge command room. I received a request for data analysis from the first-level guard angel Binghua. Let's start the analysis now. One of the dozens of female angel warriors sitting in front of the virtual screen spoke. At the highest point in the bridge command room, Commander Ella of the Skyward Sword Corps was sitting on a majestic white throne, holding an obviously modified flaming sword between his hands. Her blue eyes are closely watching the situation on the battlefield. Others, such as Kaisha, the commander of the Skyblade Legion, He-11, the commander of the Tianji Legion, and Liang Bing, the commander of the Apocalypse Legion, are all doing the same thing as Ella. For these 4 army commanders, commanding an army is like a young girl getting into a sedan chair for the first time. That's why the female angels' tactics are so simple. They all rush forward in a swarm, which is commonly known as the pig attack tactic. Binghua didn't know this. After waiting for about 10 seconds, a reply came from the Skyblade battleship. The energy strength of the shield has been analyzed. We are now preparing to carry out a penetrating strike. Please ask the first-level guard angel Binghua to be ready to break in at any time. A hint of excitement appeared on Binghua's face. She couldn't wait to rush into the kilometer-long battleship in front of her. After about a few seconds, a 3-meter-thick orange-red beam passed through countless battleships and space fighters, and hit the giant battleship in front of Binghua. However, the orange-red beam was blocked by a transparent shield, but Binghua could clearly see that the energy intensity of the shield was rapidly declining. The next second, it was like a layer of glass shattered, and the orange-red beam that had not been exhausted struck the hull of the huge battleship, blasting a hole more than 10 meters wide. Binghua, who had been waiting for a long time, raised his sword and instantly charged towards the big hole that was blown up in the battleship. In the billowing smoke, Binghua retracted his wings and landed in the blasted metal walkway in the 1,000-meter battleship. The melted metal armor around him was still glowing with a dazzling red light. Binghua glanced around casually, without any intention of searching for a direction. He raised the flaming sword in his hand and slashed at the metal wall in front of him a few times at high speed. Just like cutting tofu, several crisscrossing and glowing red cuts appeared on the metal wall. Suddenly a violent turbulence of air hit. It turned out that Binghua cut the wall with his sword, causing an imbalance in the internal and external air pressure, and the vacuum of the universe began to frantically suck out the air inside his battleship. Readers can put forward any good opinions in the comment area. If the idea is good, the author will adopt it. I also ask for recommendation votes, and I would also like to thank recent book friends for their support and recommendation votes.